You guys, I am in so many chicken keeping Facebook groups, and what I have found is chicken keeping Facebook groups overcomplicate so many things. And it occurred to me that I think we need to talk about feed requirements for our chickens, including treat requirements, or not requirements, but what we might offer our chickens as treats as well. Also, as a follow-up to this video slash part 2 of our getting ready for fall and winter and chicken keeping, I'm also going to be posting a video about feed requirements over winter and what we might expect from our hens in terms of laying eggs throughout the winter. Okay, so the misunderstanding about what to feed our chickens was never so clear as it was back in Feedgate of 2021. Do you remember that, when everybody was really worried that their chickens weren't laying eggs over winter, and they were really worried about the feed companies and what was in the feed and the fillers that were in the feed? And although I tend to be a little conspiratorially minded and I don't trust big corporations, what I do know is that it is important to give our chickens a well-balanced feed, whether that is in the early chick stages or their layer pellet stages, and that formulating our own feeds at home can be dangerous to our chickens because they may not be getting all of the nutrients that they need to support healthy growth and development, bone structure, and to produce and lay eggs. And so, while I am not a scientist or a veterinarian, I do have some brands and some ways of feeding my chickens that I have done since the beginning of my chicken keeping career that I have never seen negative consequences of, and so I trust the process on those things. I personally feel like there is no substitution for a good quality feed, and I've always had really good results with Nutrina products. They're kind of middle of the line products in terms of most expensive to cheapest feed, but I will feed Nutrina products, and again, this isn't a plug. Use whatever works on your farm, by all means do that. But I like to do Nutrina nature-wise products at every phase of development. From the time that our chicks are born until about 16 weeks, I will just do some type of, I will do Nutrina nature-wise, but I will do chick crumbles. And if I have a broody hen, if I'm raising chicks with a broody hen, I'll just put the chick starter crumbles in there for everyone. I figure a couple weeks of her eating a higher protein feed is it has not proven to cause any harm for me yet. I have some grow out pens, right now I have a grow out pen with a broody hen who just hatched out 4 chicks, and then I've got some growing out black copper Morans of different stages. Some are 12 weeks, one just started to lay, and in there on one edge of the pen I have a bucket of layer crumbles, and then on the other end of the pen I have a bucket of chick starter crumbles. So the older chickens can kind of choose what they want. Do they eat the chick crumbles? Probably, but again, it's only for a short period of time. And the difference is chick starter crumbles are higher in protein and certain nutrients that chicks need to grow and thrive. So they need more nutrients than the older pullets or laying hens, who need different things to support bone health and produce eggs and the strength of their eggs. I do not use any medicated feeds, and this is one of those things where, again, do your own research, but medicated feed is only medicated with amprolium, which is the active ingredient in Corid. So medicated feed only maybe helps to protect against coccidia by introducing small amounts of amprolium to the chicken to help prevent any negative consequences from coccidia. I don't like to pack my chickens full consistently of any type of chemical or medicine unless I deem it necessary. So with coccidia, I would prefer to just treat preventatively or as needed with Corid when I see symptoms in my flock, and that has proven well for me. Again, this is one of those for whatever works for you on your farm, do that. We're gonna see coccidia. Coccidia is one of the #1 killers of baby chicks. It's gonna come up. It's a matter of how you want to handle it when it does. I prefer to allow my chicks space to grow natural immunities by any means necessary. That's what works here for me. And of course, we have videos here specifically on treating coccidia and the do's and don'ts of that. So please reference that if this is something you need more information about, or just shoot me a message and I'll point you in the right direction. Right around 16 weeks, and again, you can probably give or take a couple weeks, we switch over from chick starter crumbles to layer pellets. Personally, I feed layer pellets to my entire flocks, roosters included. Our layer pellets are formulated to give our hens all of the nutrients that they need for healthy development and to produce strong, healthy eggs as well. Okay, so now to the topic of how much do we feed our chickens. Personally, with growing, developing chicks up until about 16 weeks, I'll just free feed whatever they eat, whatever they want. I'll just keep the feeders of chick crumbles full. Now, over 16 weeks for older pullets, laying hens, roosters, the rule of thumb seems to be that they require about 4 to 6 ounces of feed per day. If you're throwing feed out on the ground, the rule of thumb is to not throw down more than they can consume within 30 minutes. Because believe it or not, chickens really can become obese and overweight, and you may not notice it until you go to process them, if you process them, and then you see the fat deposits throughout their body. Personally, I go out to all of my coops in the morning and I throw a huge, I guess like a 5-pound scoop into their feeder, and then I'll give them a little more at night too. So now let's get into treats. The rule of thumb is 90-10. 90% of their regular feed, 10% treats in their diet. But that doesn't include foraging. If they have access to forage, of course they can forage for all of the fresh bugs and forage that they want. That is very, very good for them, and natural, very natural for them. So I'm talking about treats like scratch grains, because there is a difference. Scratch grain is not chicken feed. That is treats. That is corn and seeds and scratch grain. That is different from your balanced layer pellet. And you'll see on the box or the bag, that layer pellet is going to be your 16% protein layer pellet. Whereas suppose your scratch grains is going to say scratch grains. I would not advise mixing your treats and your feed together. So mixing your scratch grains and your food together, because the chickens are always going to go for their favorite treats. I don't even think they have taste buds, but for some reason they will always go for the treats before their feed. So it would be my suggestion to feed treats just freehand at certain times of the day or the week or whenever you choose to do that, as opposed to mixing into the feed. And of course I know that our chickens are like garbage disposals, and we all really appreciate that, but there are some feeds that are technically toxic to chickens. I have a list of them. I'll post that somewhere around here too. But listen, just to recap, feeding chickens is really simple. Chick starter crumbles until around 16 weeks. After 16 weeks, layer pellets, well-balanced feed. 90-10 rule when it comes to feed and treats. 90% well-balanced feed, 10% treats, forage, fresh forage, whenever they want.